After being diagnosed with leukemia, I decided to let myself go. Because I am an 18th-tier actor, I decided to confront all the directors and actors who had bullied me in the past. Of course, there was another big thing. That was the president of a top entertainment company whom I had a crush on for a long time. Before I die, I have to take him down. 1. Weibo hot search exploded because of me. The reason was the drama I aired some time ago. It was rumored that it cost 200 million yuan, but it turned out to be a pile of shit. Even I, the third female lead, was scolded and became a hot search. However, the most explosive thing was not this but a Weibo post of mine. A very short sentence. I didn't even see a hair of the 200 million yuan spent, and I didn't even use 2 million in the whole process, so where did the 198 million go? So, where did the money go? Successfully squeezed into the top of the Weibo ranking. For a time, the stars who followed me unfollowed me one after another. And the comments under the hot search were all shocked. Crazy Zhao Qiao is crazy. She dares to say this. Doesn't she want to stay in the entertainment industry? 666. This is the first time I've seen an actor who dares to say this. I'm a fan. I looked at the comments here and couldn't help laughing. My agent called me and scolded me, asking me if I still wanted to stay in the entertainment industry, and screamed that he wanted to hide me. It was so funny. I didn't hesitate to fight back. If you have the ability, ban me. If you don't have the ability, don't talk about it. The mouth is on my body. I can say whatever I want. Then I hung up the phone with a snap. Cool. I have lived for 25 years, and I have never felt so happy as today. Maybe because I don't have much time left, I am not afraid of anything. Not long after, my Weibo was completely destroyed, and countless water armies and black fans came over and commented and insulted me under my Weibo. 2. What kind of rubbish acting skills? This thing can also be seen. Me. In this aspect, I am really not as good as your idol. She didn't take good care of herself during pregnancy, and she still came out to film. B. Shame on you, you're trying to take advantage of this kind of popularity. Me. Oh, your boyfriend was arrested for prostitution yesterday. Find a way to get him out. See, no, do you really dare to say it? Me. It doesn't matter. I'll do it. And so on. Soon I was on the hot search again. You dare to say anything about Zhao Qiao. Everyone agreed that I was crazy. The entertainment industry is a circle that contains too many secrets. After I did this, everyone was instantly plunged into dire straits. But I'm not afraid. I'm dying and I'm an orphan without a father or a mother. I'm alone and naturally have no fear. I want to fight the dirty things in the entertainment industry to the end. However, I still have one big thing to do. That is, sleep with Gu Jia. Gu Jia, the dream of so many women. I am no exception. The president of Gu's group with Jojo Entertainment, which ranks among the top 3 in the entertainment industry, is a perfect male protagonist in a novel. He is handsome, tall, and even his gestures are noble. I have had a crush on him for a long time, so I asked someone to find out that he will attend a banquet tonight. And I just happened to be on the invitation list for this banquet because of the hot search. Very good. I looked at myself in the mirror, wearing a tall red dress, bright and beautiful. Who cannot be moved? Tonight I must win. 3. The lights were bright at the party. The moment I walked in, the scene was obviously quiet for a while. Everyone looked at me in astonishment, probably because they didn't expect that I would dare to come out at the risk of being beaten to death. Oh, why did you stop? I smiled. Continue playing music and dancing. Everyone looked at each other and tacitly ignored me. I didn't want to pay attention to them either, so I just found a corner and started to show off. Now I don't have to maintain my figure. I can eat whatever I want, but I don't know when I can't eat it. Not long after, the door of the banquet was suddenly opened, and a young man in a black suit walked in. The scene was quiet in an instant. It was Gu Jia. Unlike when I came in, there was no surprise in everyone's eyes, only envy and respect. He wore a Patek Philippe on his wrist, an Armani limited edition, and a custom-made Casano. The hair on his forehead was slightly hanging down, which made him look particularly cool and attractive. Yes, attractive. I was almost drooling when I saw him. I must get him, otherwise I would lose my life. Mr. Gu, welcome. The host of the banquet was a well-known director. When he saw Gu Jia coming, he immediately walked over flatteringly. Gu Jia just nodded lightly and sat aside casually. The scene became lively again, and everyone continued to greet each other. My eyes were fixed on Gu Jia. Perhaps he noticed my fiery gaze, so he turned his head to look at me and frowned. If nothing unexpected happened, he should have been disliked. About half an hour later, the party reached its climax, and everyone pulled their partners up to dance. I also put down my wine glass and walked towards Gu Jia. His white and slender fingers tugged at his tie, and I stood in front of him and extended a hand. Can I ask you to dance? The scene fell silent instantly. 4. Everyone looked at me with astonishment, shock, and incomprehension. So far, no one has dared to invite Gu Jia to dance. In fact, I am also prepared to be rejected, but it is not a big problem. I have to win her tonight. There are rumors outside that he is not interested in women, although he is not interested in men either. But I don't believe this evil. I don't believe that a man can refuse the invitation of a beautiful woman. Gu Jia looked at me twice, suddenly stretched his eyebrows and raised them lightly. Okay. After that, he stood up, straightened his suit and held my hand. I was stunned in place, and the people around me were even more confused than me. Obviously, they didn't expect him to agree. Gu Jia's hand was very hot, almost burning me. He took my hand and walked to the center of the dance floor in the surprised eyes of everyone. I danced with him in a daze. To be honest, even if I was prepared to win him in my heart, I didn't really think I could be so close to him. He had a refreshing minty scent that made me dizzy and a little sober. After the dance, Gujia held my waist and smiled softly. I could feel the heat on my face without looking in the mirror. I took out the room card I had prepared long ago and put it in his hand. Can I see you tonight? He was stunned for a moment, then put the room card in his pocket. He leaned over my ear and his warm breath hit my neck. It's an honor, Miss Zhao. 5. Things went much more smoothly than I thought. I sat on the big bed in the hotel, still feeling a little unreal. No, isn't it said that Gujia is aloof and doesn't get close to men or women? Could I have found the wrong person? It's outrageous. There was a sparse sound of water in the bathroom, and the glass door was filled with mist, and I couldn't see anything clearly. After a while, the sound of water stopped. The bathroom door was opened, and heat and steam rushed towards me. I squinted my eyes and saw Gujia walking out with a bath towel around him. He has a very strong body with obvious muscle lines, but he doesn't look overworked. His skin is fair, and the water vapor slides down his abdominal muscles, which makes me swallow. Are you stunned? Gujia stretched out a bright finger and waved it in front of my eyes. The fresh mint scent permeated my nose, and my old face turned red. I coughed lightly. Then shall we start? Puff. Gujia couldn't help but chuckled with a teasing look on his face. You dare to come to me without being prepared? Help. When the car arrived in front of the mountain, I realized that I was still confused. I was not prepared at all. What to do next? My mind was blank. At this moment, my mobile phone suddenly rang. I picked it up and saw that it was my agent calling. I showed an apologetic look and answered it. The agent's voice came from the other end of the phone. Zhao, you are really capable. You dare to pull Gujia to dance. Do you know that Weibo's hot searches are all blowing up now? I think you really don't want to mix. Before I could reply, Gujia suddenly reached out and took my phone. I'm Gujia. She's with me now. After saying this, the agent said fuck, and then hung up the phone. I looked at Gujia in a daze. He smiled and asked, do you want to drink some red wine? Okay. 6. We sat on the bed and drank more and more. Gradually, I felt a little drifting. I looked at Gujia's face in a daze and couldn't help drooling. Oh, handsome guy, you look really good. As I said that, I sat next to him, put my arms around his neck and leaned close to his ear. Come, stay with me for a night, and my future minimum living allowance will be yours. Burp. As I said that, I burped loudly. Gujia raised his eyebrows. Are you sure? Of course. Before I finished speaking, I was suddenly pressed down by Gujia. His dark pupils stared at me tightly, and his eyes were as hot as fire, as if he wanted to burn me to death. Who am I? He stared at me with fiery eyes and I blinked my eyes. Gujia. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly blocked my lips. The sharp and refreshing mint smell on his body stimulated my brain and nerves. At this moment my mind was blank. Then I fell asleep in a daze. I only remember, under the dim light, his expression was full of love. The next day, I opened my eyes and saw Gujia's face facing me. He was not awake yet. I looked at his handsome face, which was only 2 centimeters away from me, and I couldn't help but feel entangled in my heart. Damn, how did I fall asleep? This wave of blood loss. Forget it, I really don't have the face to do it again. Just run away. I got out of bed and put on my clothes. I looked back at him again. Seeing that he was still awake, I put on my clothes and left the hotel. The sun was shining brightly outside. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt a surge of regret in my heart. Maybe it was because I didn't sleep. But more, it seemed that everything came too late. 7. Not long after I got home, I took a nice bath and then lay on the big bed to catch up on my sleep. As a result, just as I fell asleep, my phone rang like a death sentence. I picked it up and saw that it was my agent again. I answered the call out of boredom, and heard the excited voice of my agent from the other end. Zhao, I really misjudged you. I thought you would just be a mediocre person for the rest of your life. Who knew that you would quietly hook up with President Gu? Her voice startled me. What do you mean? The agent laughed. What do you mean? It was spread all over the entertainment industry this morning that President Gu checked into a room with an 18th-tier celebrity, and he gave you the script of Feng Yun. I was shocked. Feng Yun is the most popular costume drama now, and the director is also famous. All the actors invited to this drama are the most famous, and I was chosen at once. Gujia's face is really big. I was a little excited. Is it the female lead? I have never played the female lead in my life. What are you thinking? You and the female lead are not a match at all. You are given the female second. The agent couldn't help but mock me. Well, the female second is okay. I have been in the entertainment industry for so long, and the best role I have played is the female fourth. It seems that this wave is not a loss. Although I didn't succeed, I earned a female second. It's worthy of being President Gu. If I didn't have leukemia, I would have to follow him. After hanging up the phone, I opened Weibo, and it was as expected. The production team of Feng Yun has issued a statement that the female second Peiju will be played by Zhao Qiao. But there are a lot of curses under Weibo. Who is Zhao Qiao? She also snatched the resources of our Yuru baby? It's really shameless. She doesn't even consider whether she deserves it. Change someone, or give it 1 star. I looked at the comments below and squinted my eyes. I know the Yueru baby they are talking about by Yueru, a popular young actress in the modern era. But this person has no character, And her acting skills are even worse than her character. Unfortunately, such a person has a big sponsor who is very good at packaging. The character of the innocent little white flower has remained strong in the entertainment industry. Relying on the support of someone behind her, she has been making trouble and ordering people around. Even I was once ordered by her to run errands. You never thought that there would be a day when I could turn over and become the master. 8. Just when I was about to put away my phone, I suddenly found that Weibo was turbulent. By Yueru posted a Weibo. Everyone, don't feel sorry for me. It's just a role. If Ms. Zhao likes it, she can give it to her. Oh, I couldn't hold it back when I saw this Weibo. I immediately tagged her in a reply. Who do you think you are? You just give it up when you say so. Is there really anyone who would pay for your acting skills of staring blankly? Yes, the company is well packaged and the big sponsor behind it is very clever. Here I give you 4 words. I fuck your mother. After posting the Weibo, I felt refreshed. In less than 2 minutes, Xiao Baihua couldn't hold it in any longer. Ms. Zhao, how can you be so uncultured? That makes sense. After thinking about it, I changed it a little bit. Sorry I was abrupt, then I'll change it to, I fuck your mother. The other party stopped replying. Obviously, he was irritated by my straightforwardness. For a while, the situation on Weibo changed, and countless black fans poured into my Weibo, shouting and cursing. What I didn't expect was that I actually had a lot of fans. Many people were optimistic about my character, and expressed their desire to become fans. It's great, I concentrate on acting and no one watches, but once I curse people, everyone knows it. However, the most shocking thing is yet to come. Someone liked my post. It was the one I cursed by Yueru. The one who liked my post was Gujia, and it was his certified account. On the spot, everyone exploded, and just when everyone was wondering if Gujia had clicked the wrong one, he forwarded it again. He is worthy of being President Gu. This time, the things I said about her being supported by the sponsor were basically confirmed. Weibo was completely paralyzed, even my iPhone 14 was stuck. I logged out of Weibo and smiled with satisfaction. That's good, let them fight over it, I want to sleep peacefully. I just lay in bed for less than 2 minutes. But I don't know what happened lying in bed. I looked at the empty ceiling, and my eyes suddenly felt sore and astringent. Warm tears wet the pillow. Damn, I was so happy, why did I cry? My heart was as cold as the wind and snow in the desert, but I couldn't control it. Just when I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep, there was a bang on the door. I turned over and got out of bed, went to the bathroom to wash my face first, and then walked to the living room and opened the door. Who is it, disturbing my sweet dream? Before I finished speaking, I froze in place. My eyes were still a little sore after just washing my face. Gujia stood outside the door looking at me, with a smile on his lips. Why don't you want to see me? 9. I looked at Gujia's handsome face so close to me and swallowed. He bent down slightly and came in front of me, with a hint of tenderness in his expression, looking at me so closely. For a moment my heart beat like thunder. Gujia's appearance is too outstanding. When he looks at someone like this, it is hard not to be moved. Why don't you say anything? Gujia asked me with a smile. I swallowed and took a step back. Seeing President Gu, I am really a little scared. He stood up, gently pulled my wrist and walked in, closing the door by the way. I almost thought this was his home. Gujia pulled me and sat on the single sofa in my living room, then stretched out his hand and pulled me, and I fell into his arms. Are you scared to see me now? Gujia's mouth came close to my ear. You were quite brave last night. His words made my cheeks red. Yesterday. Ahem. Didn't you drink yesterday? At this time, alone with a man and a woman, how could I have the courage? In a person's life, courage is enough once. If I need it again, I have to wait for Liang Jingru to lend it to me. Perhaps because he saw that I didn't say anything, Gujia chuckled, then straightened his body and looked at me with a smile. Zhao Chao Chao, you are very courageous when you provoke me. Well, what's the matter with you? I took a step back and touched my hot face. Gujia smiled slightly. Why, I came to see my girlfriend, do I have to have something? Girlfriend. I was stunned and sat up quickly from the sofa. How did I become your girlfriend? You know, I am a person who is about to die, how can I date at this time? Isn't that delaying others? I just want to have a good time before I die, why do I have to get myself involved? Don't you want to? Gujia was puzzled. Gujia's face is really good looking. He came so close, his dark eyes staring at me tightly, which made me confused for a while. It was not until Gujia left that I came back to my senses. How did I agree to him? Thinking of myself nodding my head in confusion just now, I wanted to slap myself at this moment. How many times have I said that beauty can lead to misleading people? But Gujia is so attractive. Thinking of this, I sighed. The moment I lowered my head, my nose bled. I crawled to the bedroom tremblingly and took out the medicine in the drawer. I didn't even have time to drink water. I swallowed it all and it made my throat sore. I felt like I was being torn apart all over my body. Turns out that leukemia is so uncomfortable. I lay on the bed and couldn't help but want to cry a little. Damn, why am I so unlucky? Forget it. Find a chance to break up with Gujia. After all, I can't delay him. While there is no emotion yet, it's better to break it off. 10. 3 days later, I forced myself to come to the crew of Fengyun to film. Well-known director Lu Haitao, top-tier actor Yu Nansheng, and popular young actress Yu Shui. Speaking of Yu Shui, I hate her. When we were filming together before, I was a small supporting role and she was the heroine. I don't know what was wrong with her. When she was sitting in the sunshade, she looked at me with contempt. Hey, go buy me a cup of coffee. She didn't even remember my name, of course, because I was not qualified to be remembered by her. But she was not unfamiliar with calling me. And for the opportunity, I went without hesitation. This time I missed my part and was directly eliminated from the crew. The director pointed at my nose and scolded me. You go out to buy coffee during filming? I tell you, you don't want this role. There are many people who want it. Get out of here. The culprit Yuxue leaned back in her chair and looked at me sarcastically. It was useless for me to explain. Later I learned that a girl who was very good at talking went to Yuxue and got my position. But at that time I had no resources and no connection, so I could only endure it. If there was no director willing to give me a chance later, I guess I would have quit this circle. As for now, it's different. I rolled my eyes at her with disdain, not bothering to hide. If she didn't provoke me, it would be fine. But if she dared to provoke me, I'm not afraid of her. There is nothing I dare not provoke now. Yuxue was glared at by me. Her face suddenly turned pale, but she still tried hard to maintain her own personality and didn't say anything. She looked at the director and said sarcastically, now this successful person is different. Let the whole crew wait for her. If she becomes popular in the future, I don't know what will happen. As soon as this was said, everyone's eyes subconsciously focused on me. Very good, you want to provoke me, right? What you said makes sense. I raised my wrist and looked at the watch. There are more than 10 minutes before the agreed time. I don't know who you are talking about. You have been on the hot search for being late several times. Yushue's face was dark. She glared at me for a long time but couldn't say anything. I raised my eyebrows. What are you looking at your father for? Why are you so uncultured? Do you accept anyone in the crew now? Yuxue couldn't argue with me, so she turned to look at the director. The director spread his hands and said, this drama is invested by Mr. Gu. This sentence broke Yushue's defense. She sat in her seat in a humiliated manner and didn't look at me. The director gave her a sympathetic look and pulled her aside. Why did you provoke her? She has been like crazy these days. Now there is Gu Jie standing behind her. Aren't you looking for trouble? Yuxue was silent. The eyes of the people around were wandering, and no one dared to talk to her. Not long after, Feng Yun was announced to start filming. When putting on makeup, the makeup artist sighed and said, your skin is really white. I smiled and said, maybe it's cold white skin. It was smooth at the beginning because Pei Zhu was set as the childhood sweetheart of the male protagonist, a rich lady who dared to love and hate, and finally died for the love of the male and female protagonists. In the early stage, I had always played against the actor Yi Nancheng, so I didn't play against Yuxue. Until the fourth scene, because Pei Zhu's mistake caused the male protagonist to be injured. The female protagonist slapped me in the face in an emotional state. Looking at Yushue's sneer on her face, I felt that she was not holding back her fart. Sure enough, after going on stage, before I could recite my lines, she slapped me hard. Bang! My face suddenly felt hot and painful. She used almost 70% to 80% of her strength in this slap. Yuxue, what are you doing? The director was stunned and immediately questioned. Where are your lines? You hit me when I don't recite them. Yuxue looked at the director pitifully. I'm sorry, director, I forgot. I poked my burning face with my tongue, which almost made half of my face numb. Can you do it again? The director looked at me hesitantly. Lu Haitao is very famous. He is a director who pays great attention to content. Even if he forced me in, I guess he would not have a good attitude towards me. I smiled slightly. Of course. Begin. After the director gave the order, Yuxue turned her head and looked again, opening her mouth. Pei Zhu, if it weren't for you, Brother Xiao wouldn't have gotten into trouble this time. Bang. I used up almost all my strength and slapped Yushue's face hard. She screamed and fell to the ground, staring at me with big eyes in disbelief. You dare to hit me? The director on the side didn't expect me to be so tough, and for a moment he forgot to call for a pause. I wiped my hands, gradually walked in front of Yuxue, and slowly uttered the lines according to my thinking. Zhang Anan, are you taking yourself too seriously? Brother Xiao got into trouble, it's my problem, I will naturally find him. Who are you to dare to blame me? The cameraman quietly reminded the director if it was stuck, but was interrupted by the director with a glare and irritability. The play continued. Yuxue could only grit her teeth and continue. Pei Zhu, if you dare to hit me, Brother Xiao will definitely not let you go. Stop talking nonsense. I stood up and looked at her with disdain. Let's talk about the future later. Now don't mess with me again, understand? Maybe my eyes were too scary. Yuxue was actually frightened by me and trembled. I know. Ka. The director interrupted us angrily, then hurried over and glared at Yuxue. What are you doing? You are the heroine. How can you be scared by the supporting actress? Yuxue seemed to react at this time, stood up from the ground, and looked at me with resentment. This is not right at all, I should hit you. I looked at the director slowly. Director Liu, I just thought about it. Since Pei Zhu is an image that dares to love and hate, he should not be controlled by the heroine at this time. The director listened to me and was silent for a while. Then in Yushue's unbelievable eyes he nodded slowly. Yuxue was stunned. Director Liu, you can't favor Zhao Qiao just because she brought money into the group, right? As soon as these words came out, the director's face immediately darkened. TSK. I stood aside and watched the show. Lu Haitao is famous for his bad temper and lack of human feelings. Back then, he used an unknown little star and rejected the person who was stuffed in by the investors, which led to his status plummeting. But unfortunately, his vision of judging people is ridiculously accurate. The movie became a big hit and made him famous. And now Yu Shui openly said that the director favored me. How could he be happy? 12. Sure enough. The director looked at Yu Shui angrily and threw his thermos cup to the ground. Yu Shui, if you want to act, act. If you don't want to act, get out. There are many people who want this role. If you didn't see that you played the role well in the last movie, do you think it would be your turn? Yu Shui's face turned pale instantly. In this situation, if you offend Lu Haitao, you probably won't get any good dramas. Yes, I'm sorry, director. Yu Shui apologized with an ugly face. The director was about to say something, but suddenly, I felt dizzy and 2 lines of warm liquid flowed out of my nose. Ah, you are bleeding, the assistant exclaimed. I subconsciously lowered my head and touched it. Before I could speak, my eyes went black and I fell to the ground. In a trance, I seemed to see Gu Jia. I saw the first time we met. In fact, Gu Jia and I are from the same school. He is a senior who is 2 years older than me. When I first entered school, he was giving a speech on the stage. At that time, the lights were almost all on him. My heart beat like a drum. He is handsome and excellent. No one can resist such a person. Not long after, during military training, I fell on the playground due to hypoglycemia. He walked past me, hugged me and sent me to the infirmary. He went to buy me 2 bottles of ice water in the scorching summer. The boy's chest rose and fell slightly. At that time, he was not so indifferent, but more of a young and vigorous person. Classmate, your knee is swollen, apply some ice. When I took the ice water, I felt his beating pulse and blushed instantly. I didn't say a word throughout the whole process, including thanking him. I was afraid that if I opened my mouth, I would expose my trembling voice. Later, I secretly added him as a friend, but I didn't dare to send him a message. I just humbly peeped into his life through his circle of friends. Today I rescued a girl who fell down. I am really Lei Feng. Today's class is too boring. I don't want to live when I think about going to class. Hey, today the cafeteria has my favorite sweet and sour pork. I feel like I can last another 2 days. He looks a little cold, but his circle of friends is very lively. Almost several posts a day, adding a lot of fun to my peaceful life. But at the same time, I feel like a despicable clown. Like a stalker fan. After he graduated, I took a last look at his WeChat and clicked to block it. If he knew, he would definitely be very distressed. After that, we cut off this one-sided contact and we never had any intersection again. Later, he became the president of JoJo Entertainment, and I became an 18th tier celebrity, looking forward to standing by his side one day. Unfortunately, it's probably impossible. It hurts. It hurts so much. 13. The bones all over my body seemed to be broken. I trembled with pain, and the strong smell of disinfectant stimulated my nasal cavity, prompting me to open my eyes. The white ceiling, before I could come back to my senses, my wrist was suddenly held by a pair of hot hands. I turned my head and saw Gu Jie sitting next to me. His eyes were filled with faint worry and sadness. This moment was a bit like the past, like the first time we met. Why didn't you tell me? Gu Jie's eyes were as dark as ink, mixed with extremely complicated emotions. I'm your boyfriend. Why didn't you tell me you were sick? I pulled the corners of my mouth, feeling that my body was in so much pain that I couldn't move. It hurts. As soon as I opened my mouth, my voice was hoarse. Gu Jie stood up instantly and rang the bell at the bedside. Soon, the doctor and the nurse came in hurriedly and checked my body. The doctor shook his head. Now we can only have chemotherapy. There is no other way. It's in the late stage. Gu Jie held my hand tightly. I didn't feel anything and looked at the doctor. Can you prescribe more painkillers? I'm in terrible pain. I still recommend chemotherapy. Maybe there is still a year. The doctor said hesitantly. Gu Jie looked at me. Chemotherapy? No. I smiled. I'm in pain, prescribe me some medicine, okay? He looked at me for a while, then turned to look at the doctor and nodded. Prescribe medicine. As I expected, he desperately asked me to have chemotherapy, but it didn't happen. After the doctor left, I asked in confusion. Shouldn't you firmly ask me to have chemotherapy? Why did you agree so soon? This is different from what is played in idol dramas. Sure enough, TV dramas are all lies. I don't want you to be hurt. Gu Jie's eyes suddenly turned red. He pursed his lips and with his other hand tightly grasped the handle of the chair, he said, Since you can't always be with me, why? Do you come to provoke me? You, if you want to die, just stay aside quietly and don't let me know. Since you are here, why are you leaving again? You scumbag, you. As he spoke, he suddenly cried. I was a little caught off guard and couldn't help asking, No way, you are not secretly in love with me, although I am very good looking, but what bullshit are you talking about? Gu Jie gritted his teeth and looked at me with red eyes. Why do you think the director helps you? Why do you think I like you? You think you have offended so many people. How can you still mix in this circle? It's all because of me. If I hadn't been watching you, you would have been torn to pieces. Do you think it's so easy to mix in the entertainment industry? You have been out for so long. Is there anyone who dares to have improper thoughts about you? It's so hard. I finally waited for you to come. Why do you want to leave me like this? His questioning made me feel a little ashamed. It seems to be like this. I was hot-headed at the time, thinking about not leaving regrets in my life. But I really didn't expect that he actually liked me. This was not my intention. I wanted to be a passerby in his life, but he secretly loved me for a long time. I'm sorry. Gu Jie took a deep breath and calmed down. He looked at me with deep sadness in his eyes. I don't want to be mean to you. Please don't be angry with me, okay? His words made me want to cry. I turned my head away, not wanting to look at him anymore. But I couldn't help but roar in my heart. Damn God, look at what you have done. 14. Turns out that Gujia has a crush on me. I was so happy and sad. Why didn't you let me know earlier? I was almost dying when I found out about this. What a pity. Because I didn't want chemotherapy, Gujia chose to listen to me and took me to his home. As expected of CEO Gu, his home is really big. He watched me take out a bunch of medicine from the suitcase, and couldn't help but tears up again. I laughed. I can't tell, you are so sentimental. Say less. Gujia may have felt that the atmosphere was a little low, glanced at me, and then silently helped me pack my luggage. At night, I urgently needed to fulfill my last wish. But thinking about how Gujia would feel after I died, I had to give up. Forget it. Gujia and I lay on the same bed, and he hugged me tightly, as if he was afraid that I would disappear as soon as I turned around. Loosen up a little, I really can't breathe. I struggled for a while. After all, being too close, the feeling of being able to only look but not eat was really a bit stimulating to me. Sister is going to be emo. Don't move. After Gujia got up and turned off the lights, he turned around, facing away from me, and soon he began to breathe evenly. This guy fell asleep pretty quickly. I opened my eyes helplessly and soon I fell asleep in a daze. It should be the second half of the night, my body began to hurt again. Waking up from my sleep, I wanted to find some painkillers, but I suddenly felt a tremor coming from my side. I leaned over and saw Gujia like a wounded animal, with his back to me and his whole body curled up in the pale white moonlight projected in from the window. He was crying. In the quiet night, I could clearly hear his sobbing. The sad mood was boundless in the dark night and began to spread rapidly. I thought about it, but in the end I didn't get out of bed to find medicine. Really? What are you crying for? I haven't cried yet. And this world is really enough, it always messes with people's mentality. Why did I find out that Gujia and I were in love when I was about to leave? It seems that many lovers can't be together. My mind was in a mess and I was angry with the world. I wanted to curse the whole world. I should have checked my body more often. Forget it. It's too late. 15. Gujia took me back to my old university. We walked hand in hand on the small road behind the school. Hee. I couldn't help laughing. Gujia looked at me helplessly. What are you laughing at again? When I think of the awesome CEO Gu secretly in love with me, I feel that I am really awesome. I said bluntly, you have a good vision, but it's a pity that you didn't say it earlier. Gujia held my hand, and his eyes showed a trace of hurt. I wanted to confess to you after I graduated. Who knew you blocked me? I was stunned. Ah, did you know I had your WeChat a long time ago? Nonsense. Gujia looked at me with a look of disappointment. Otherwise, who would have nothing to do to post 800 moments a day? I might as well read 2 more books if I had that time. It turned out that the moments were all sent to me. I couldn't help laughing again. Gujia seemed to understand me very well. He held my hand and took me through the road to the school again and again. Until the evening, the night sky was full of stars. We leaned on the bench behind the school, and Gujia asked me, do you have any unfulfilled wishes? Yes. Hearing this, I immediately looked up. Of course, you will help me realize it, right? What is it? Gujia lowered his head and asked me, his eyes sparkling, as if there was a sea of stars. I haven't slept with you yet. I blurted out sincerely. Since we are talking about this topic, I am not sleepy. Gujia's face darkened. Go away. Oh. We were speechless for a while. Well, it seems that I know how to be silent. After a while, I looked at him. You know, I heard that people will become stars after they die. Will I become a star? 16. Yes. Gujia nodded. I wanted to say something else, but a cold wind blew and I shivered unconsciously. He took my hand and prepared to take me back. Parking is not allowed at the school gate, so we parked our car across the street. When crossing the road, I was still thinking about how to sleep with him. Suddenly, a white light flashed, and a truck rushed straight towards me. Gujia's eyes widened and he stretched out his hand to push me away. But he was not as fast as me. I pushed him away before him and watched him fall to the edge of the road. The next moment, I was hit hard and flew away. There was a glaring red in front of my eyes. It seemed that I could not feel the pain. I struggled to open my eyes and watched Gujia rushing towards me, hugging me desperately, mumbling something in his mouth. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear clearly. I smiled and stretched out my hand with difficulty to touch his face, but I had no strength and couldn't lift it up. It doesn't hurt. Gujia cried. He held me with one hand and took out his mobile phone with the other hand, wanting to dial 120, but I saw that his shaking hands actually pressed the wrong number several times. It was the first time I saw Gujia so flustered, it was quite funny. I smiled, and as soon as I opened my mouth, blood gushed out of my mouth. The stars in the sky were exceptionally bright, twinkling. I have never seen such a beautiful night sky. Gujia. I called him with a trembling voice. Gujia looked at me, and his eyes were full of my reflection. Looking at it this way, I seem a little ugly now. Forget it, I can't care so much. For a moment, my mind was full of thoughts, and in the end I only said one sentence. Look up. Find me. The moment I closed my eyes, I saw Gujia collapse and his consciousness fell into darkness. I must remember. Look up and find me in the sea of stars.